The Wild West of the late 1800s was a land with loose laws and big adventure, with spirits as wild as the terrain. These 7 women led lives that still have us talking about them today. Born Carlotta Tompkins, this wild woman was so skilled at poker that she was eventually given the name Dino, which was a shortened version of dinero, or money. Unlike many women who made names for themselves living on the edge of the law, Carlotta was from a wealthy family and from parents who gave her ample care and affection. She learned to play cards by spending time with her father, a successful gambler and horse breeder. After he was killed in the Civil War, Lottie began her own career at the poker table. She quickly added fugitive companion to her resume when she fell in love with Frank Thurmond, another professional gambler. He was accused of murder, and the two went on the lam, happily using poker to support their lifestyle. The pair ended up in Fort Griffin, a quintessential cowboy town, and became friends with Doc Holliday. Fearful of being caught, Lottie and Frank hid their relationship until they were married years later. In Fort Griffin, Lottie's fame grew as a poker player who was not to be challenged. The couple eventually settled down in New Mexico, where they invested in several businesses and their community. When it came to the famous outlaws of the Wild West, like the Wild Bunch, Fanny Porter rubbed shoulders with them all. That's because she was well known for her San Antonio brothel that most of them frequented over the years. As with many of the frontier women who dabbled in prostitution, Fanny started her career early, at just 15 years old. By 20, she had already become known for her business acumen as a high-end brothel owner, running one of the cleanest and classiest establishments in South Texas. Many of her girls, as she referred to them, became lovers and companions to the most famous Wild West figures. Women like Della Moore, Lily Davis, and the mysterious Etta Place all shacked up with Butch Cassidy and his pals while working for Fanny. As the outlaws disappeared into obscurity and the golden age of the Wild West came to an end, Fanny also faded from the public eye and settled down to a quiet life. No list of female Wild West outlaw would be complete without at least a mention of Etta Place, the mysterious companion to Harry Longabaugh, also known as the Sundance Kid. The two were so devoted to each other that she was the only person to flee the country with him and Butch Cassidy. Despite Etta being one of the few women to have penetrated the inner circle of the gang and stay with them long term, little is known about her life before or after her relationship with Sundance. It is widely believed that she met him while working as a prostitute, possibly in Utah, and that the two eventually became devoted companions. When Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid escaped to South America in 1901, Etta was at their side, and there are at least half a dozen theories about her after she parted ways, most of them involving Etta living as a prostitute or outlaw. It is known that she lived in San Francisco in 1907, but after that, the trail runs cold. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the new episode. Let me know in the comments if I missed any famous women. Perhaps even more than today, the Wild West was a place where women were given permission to experiment with careers not normally seen as fit for women. Alice Ivers embraced a career as a poker player, a profession still largely dominated by men. She was born in England in 1851, but eventually moved to Colorado. She ran away from home to marry her first husband, Frank Duffield, and this bold act would change the course of Alice's life forever. When Frank died in a mining accident, Alice took up gambling herself. This led to another interesting Wild West crossover. She made big bucks playing at a bar in Colorado that was owned by Bob Ford, the infamous man who killed Jesse James. Alice was known to use her skills to finance a lavish lifestyle, but she was also exceptionally shrewd as a professional gambler. It's rumored that she married her last husband rather than pay off a large gaming debt she owed to him. And she was even arrested several times for running girls, bootlegging, and public drunkenness. They don't get any badder than this wild bunch woman. Laura Bullion came from a family who lived on the edge. Her father was a bank robber and her uncle a train robber. She left home at age 15 to make her own way. As with many infamous female outlaws, Laura started her career of crime as a prostitute. Sadly, she began very early, and by 17 she had graduated to robberies with Butch Cassidy's Wild Bunch. She was likely welcomed into the group because of her father's connections, and she did, in fact, become romantically involved with Ben Kilpatrick. It's believed that she was in many more because she often dressed in men's clothing and may have gone unrecognized. As with many other outlaws, Laura retreated into a life of traditional employment and a low-profile existence after she was released from prison. Known primarily for being the longtime companion of Doc Holliday, Big Nose Kate was destined to rub shoulders with the Old West's biggest celebrities. Kate's family emigrated to Iowa when she was 10 years old. Tragically, only 3 years later, the rough frontier life left Kate and her siblings orphaned. In true outlaw fashion, she ran away from her foster home at age 15 and became a stowaway on a riverboat headed for St. Louis. She proceeded to dabble in various careers and moved around until meeting Doc Holliday in Texas in 1877. History, in fact, would not be the same without Kate, as she was the one who introduced Doc Holliday to Wyatt Earp. Kate and Doc moved to Tombstone, Arizona with Wyatt and his brothers in 1880, and the rest is history. Her legacy continues to this day. Calamity Jane is perhaps the most famous of the wild women of the West, and for good reason. She pretty much did it all when it comes to the things that brought these women notoriety. She skillfully shot a gun, told tall tales, dabbled in prostitution, committed hefty crimes, and drank a lot. While one of her earliest known careers was a dance hall girl, she also became famous for wearing men's clothing and riding alongside the roughest cowboys on whatever work or action she could find. Jane ended up with a plethora of careers, including a short stint as a storyteller in Buffalo Bill's show. However, none of these careers lasted long due to Jane's unfortunate chronic alcoholism. Jane was unashamed about telling a fib, and she is known for being a sidekick of Wild Bill Hickok and bragged about their friendship until the day she died. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe, hit that like button, and let me know what you thought down in the comments.